We really are blessed. The Lord just always provides. I get up and order food, and I pray, and and I leave the rest to Him. And sometimes the things I think they need to have is not what they need at all, But I think they need it, especially at Thanksgiving and Christmas. We have pre-decided ideas of what we think everybody needs to be eating. No, they don't always do. And so it's kind of funny how God just reminds me that He's really in charge and I'm just hanging out with Him. So it's kind of cute. But I love that whatever I'm looking for, if I don't get it, something else comes in on this other side. And that's really cool to watch. So I feel like I have the best seat in the house because I get to see the orchestration of the Lord every day that I'm here.
Hello, Huntsville. I'm Cynthia Joyner. Welcome to another edition of this podcast about all things Huntsville. This episode is about one of my favorite nonprofits, Manna House. It's such an inspiring organization. Fran Fluhler is the leader. Give us an overview of Manna House's mission and the services it offers to the community.
So Manna House is the food distribution center for the Huntsville Dream Center. And we are the food program base that just allows the community who's going through a difficult time to come and get food. Our recent needs assessment survey shows us 71% of the families we serve have a full-time job, but they still can't quite make it. So for some people, they're just going to come and get diapers and hygiene items. Other people are going to come and get food. And so our real outreach scope is just to meet the need in the community that somebody might have just maybe short-term or going through chemo or dialysis.
So with you being in the role that you're in at Manna House, what keeps you grounded and motivated?
Well, I love success stories, and I love it when somebody finishes their chemo and they get to ring that bell and they get to come tell us, and the next thing we know, they're volunteering and serving alongside. So some of our best volunteers are people we helped 16, 17, 18 years ago, and they come back and give their time. Sometimes they give financially, but most of all their time. And I love seeing young people who maybe they served while they were playing a sport in the city of Huntsville or maybe on the Honor Society, and then they graduate college, and then they come back, and then they bring their spouse, and then they bring their kids. And I love it. I just love seeing serve community.
Okay. Can you share a recent success story with us?
Yes, I can. We just recently had a mom who had come to us, and she was really struggling. Her husband had passed away during COVID. She just could not make it, and she came to us, and through one of our volunteers, they said, hey, we're hiring where I'm at. Why don't you apply for a job? And she did. So instead of making $12 an hour, she's making $23 an hour, has full benefits, much better schedule. It's during the day, no night work at all. And she's just so excited. And so they've been coming and helping us on Saturdays. And her kids are really, I believe, grasping the concept of community. And that makes me really happy. So yeah, so there's lots of them. I could sit an hour and tell you stories, but that's my favorite because I love it when another volunteer says to somebody, hey, and they have a solution, and that's what makes Manna House work.
Wow, thanks for sharing that. That's quite a story.
It is exciting,
yes,
isn't it?
Yes. What are some of the partnerships or collaboration Manna House has established with other organizations, agencies, or businesses to enhance its impact in the community?
So our goal is to always be a partner. And so if somebody has a small pantry, or maybe they have a school pantry inside, or maybe their apartment complex, they have a small pantry, we're going to come alongside of them. But we also like to work with businesses that are doing a special program maybe for their employees at Thanksgiving, but they can't quite reach that. We saw a lot of that during COVID, and we're glad to come alongside of them. We love helping local churches that want to do giveaways, but we're really just here for anything. We do a lot of inner city kids things. Anybody, Huntsville Drumline, any of those organizations that are having events, we are all in if you're doing a summer program. Dream Theater, anything that we can be a part of. We love working alongside the food bank and other agencies, and so our next food drive is September 30th, and it'll be at the Huntsville City Football Club. And everything we collect will go out to organizations and groups. It'll be about 23. Last year we were able to give the food bank a little over 100,000 pounds, and we love being a part of that.
I had the opportunity to volunteer at the Manna House, and I was just quite amazed with the operations that you guys have running here. And I was like, how in the world did this happen? I mean, when did Manna House start?
So a little over 30 years ago, we started helping some families, and we went to a place in Tanner to pick up. And this man said, you should call DHR and tell them that you'll help families in your community instead of coming to Limestone County. And I said, okay. So when I called DHR, so what's their ministry? I said, well, I'm not in a ministry. I'm not a deacon. I'm not an elder. I'm a soul winner, but that's all I do. I work in the defense industry. And she said, okay, I'll put down Heart Ministries. I said, I'm just doing it out of my heart. So I'll put down Heart Ministries. I was like, well, I don't need a name. Just send women who need food. So people would call, and we would just leave coolers. We have a long porch on our house, and we leave coolers, and I'd put those name tags on it. And in 12 and a half years, nobody took anybody else's food. And they just called, and I'd tell them, come by and get the food. And so it's kind of funny. But my neighbors one night took me to dinner and said, hey, we think you need to get a building. There's a lot of traffic coming in and out of this neighborhood. And I was like, I didn't know. I was at work. They're just picking up. So we saw the building one day coming back from the dentist with my daughter. And I said, hey, let's look at that building. And this was it. This is where God wanted us to be. And so it took 2 years before they'd let us move in. But they didn't know what we did. They kept saying, but you feed the homeless. Like, oh, we don't have any homeless. Because I wasn't. I was feeding working mamas and daddies, right? And so it's kind of sweet. But as we were setting up, who do you think came and helped us set up? The homeless. But I thought they were construction workers. I didn't know. But they were helpful, and they helped me do a lot of things. So we've been in this building 19 years. I almost said 18. 19 years now. And so we're very excited that the community all jumped in. And now I can honestly tell you, we do have homeless in Huntsville, but I didn't know that at the time because I live in the county. But, God had a plan, and this is where He wanted us to be so we could reach more families and more people. It's pretty cool.
Wow. Do you have any operational challenges that you face?
We really are blessed. The Lord just always provides. I get up and order food, and I pray, and I leave the rest to Him. And sometimes the things I think they need to have is not what they need at all, But I think they need it, especially at Thanksgiving and Christmas. We have pre-decided ideas of what we think everybody needs to be eating. No, they don't always need to eat that. And so it's kind of funny how God just reminds me that He's really in charge, and I'm just hanging out with Him. So it's kind of cute. But I love that whatever I'm looking for, if I don't get it, something else comes in on this other side. And that's really cool to watch. So I feel like I have the best seat in the house because I get to see the orchestration of the Lord every day that I'm here. So, I love squash. So I was trying really hard to get squash. None to be found. But people love eggplant. And even though I don't like it at all, they were excited to get it. I was like, okay. So I have to remember that I like green grapes, but the rest of the world likes red grapes. And so it's kind of fun to see that, no, I couldn't get green, I got red, and everybody's all excited. And same with, I don't like white nectarines, but people love them. And so everybody's so excited. So I have to remember that my preferences is not everybody's preference. And so I was trying to buy healthy brown rice, and we couldn't get it. We could only get white rice. And so to me, those are always God signs of, they don't like that. We're going to get this. So it's kind of fun. So I feel like our operational costs are really just my prayer life, and we just have to pray and ask the Holy Spirit to bring what the people really want. What do they need, not what I think they need.
Are there any supermarkets that you have relationships with or that you're getting your donations from?
So we buy most of our food. People think it's all donated, but we've been always a purchaser of food, even when we started out of our house. And we just feel like that's what we're supposed to do because people deserve grade A quality food. We do have some groups that do donate, but a lot of times that food is really not fit for human consumption. So we give that to chicken farmers and rabbit farmers and hog farmers who come by at the end of the day, each day, because that tomato has too big of a blemish to give to anybody. And so we buy a lot of the food that we give out, and people don't realize that, but I don't usually advertise that fact, but it's easier. And we have great companies that we work through all over the valley, but also some out of the area that are really generous to us.
How do you recruit, train, and motivate individuals to contribute effectively to Manna House's mission?
Well, we don't really fundraise. I just feel like if the Holy Spirit lays it on your heart to give, then you should give. But we have so many amazing nonprofits, I don't want to take a dollar from anybody else. So if somebody feels led to give to me, that's awesome. They're giving to the Lord, they're not giving to me anyway. And if they don't, that's okay by me. And so we just don't fundraise. We don't share that, and I don't train anybody, and I don't have any of that. When you go to Manna House, do what you're called to do, what your gift is, make a difference with that purpose that you have in your own life. And so we probably should do more of that. Now we are starting Hope Works, which Hope Works Huntsville and that's a division of us, of course. But during COVID, we started doing some training to help people get better jobs. So we train people for jobs, we give them skill sets, that type of thing, using HubZone employees. And we do have that kind of training, but that's to help you get a better job, not to work at Manna House or raise funds. So hope I answered that good enough. But
is there anything that you want the Huntsville community to know about Manor House?
I would say if they have a neighbor who, especially in hot weather or cold weather or inclement weather, that's in need, just come and get the box. They don't have to stand in line. Just come in the side door and say, I'm picking up for a neighbor. We have a program called Love Your Neighbor. And we just walk you through the line, help you get food, take it to them. If they're in need of food, please come get food. Don't go without food or help. If somebody needs hours for community service or for scholarships, please come volunteer with us. We'd love to have you drop in when you can. But I love the Huntsville community. I love how giving they are, how caring they are, how generous they are. Somebody earlier today dropped off bath soap. They felt like people might need that in this heat. What a great gift. Took them 5 minutes, but it was a real blessing for us to have to give out today. So I just say thank you. Thank you for a generous city. I love our mayor and how his heart is to help find better jobs, better employment. I love all of the people who work alongside of him to help develop our city in a better way to provide opportunities for families.
What are some of your aspirations for Manor House? What do you see Manor House in? Where will you be in 5 to 10 years from now?
I need a bigger building. And I've looked at several, but they haven't come to fruition yet. So we'll always have this hub. We have 11 hubs in the county that distribute every Saturday morning, and some every other Saturday. And then we have the hydroponic garden across the river. But we'd love to have another hydroponic garden in the community here. And we would love to have a bigger facility and a warehouse where we wouldn't all be packed in like sardines.
What's a good day like at Manor House?
When families are fed and people get prayed over and they leave feeling hopeful. That's the main thing, is that they leave with hope.
How many people do you serve?
That varies day to day. I don't usually share numbers because it's overwhelming. And so the child who has a lemonade stand and raises $3.75 thinks I can't make a difference. But that will help buy a jar of peanut butter, which makes a huge difference. The family who can only give $25 a month thinks, oh, I don't matter, that's not a lot. But when you pay $25 for a pallet of chicken and 750 families get a 10-pound bag of leg thighs, that made a difference. So we don't usually talk numbers. We just talk about difference that we've made and then pallets of food. So I'm probably the only person outside of maybe 3 other people who really know how many people come through Manna House. It's a little overwhelming.
Are there any restrictions on who can use your services?
No. If you're hungry, you're qualified. If you need diapers, you qualify. So if you need anything, just come get what you need, and we're here to help.
How would you describe Manor House to a stranger?
So that's really funny you said that, because that happened to be at a restaurant just recently. And I said, Manna House is a portion of a 501c3 public charity that provides food to families in need. So that was how I described it. And then for the rest of the night, I thought about all the things I didn't say that should have been said. So basically, it's the community loving on the community. That's really what Manna House is.
Do most of your volunteers come from churches or other organizations?
So we do have quite a few that come from churches. The majority are people from scout troops, clubs, organizations. If you play a sport, most of the sports teams make you come in and do some community service hours. We have a lot of UAH students, A&M students, Athens State students, lots of different colleges that come and help because they have fraternities and clubs that they're part of that need them. And then we have families who want to teach their kids philanthropy at a really young age. So that's why they come.
Is hunger a great problem in our community?
It's really more of a challenge than I thought it was. I guess because I've only ever gone hungry by choice when our church goes on a fast is about the only time I'm ever hungry. And so I guess I just didn't take it serious enough. I didn't realize that people could actually starve to death in our city. And when the 3 ward children starved to death 14 years ago in February, it changed my life forever. And I realized that you could starve to death in Huntsville, Alabama. And that was such a travesty to me. And it changed my life forever. And I said, I'll do whatever I got to do so no other child perishes in our community. That's why I do the backpack program. Nobody in the state of Alabama had ever done a backpack program. And when Natasha Ward and her 3 children laid down to die, they didn't know about Manna House. And the news media painted her out, some as a drug addict, some painted her as a religious fanatic. She was none of those. She tried to take her life 3 times in prison. They drank the water out of the toilet and they went to the bathroom in the tub. And they were found on Patton Road. And she wishes she had died. But they prosecuted her and she'll spend her life in prison. And so it's really sad. And Steve Mann, who's a financial planner, this is why we need everybody in the community, walked in and he said, hey, have you heard about the Houston Backpacker Program? I said, no. And if you know Steve, he's dyslexic, severely dyslexic. He never reads a magazine on the airplane. But he reached out and grabbed that magazine on the airplane that day and he read it. And he said, this is what we need for Huntsville. The children had passed away about 2 weeks before. So he said, I'll go with you to Ridgecrest. So he did. And in the meeting, Dawn Ashley, who was the principal, she would later become principal of the year because of this noble act. But she said, well, I don't know about the food, Steve. And he said, well, she's crazy, but the food will be fine. Well, a good salesman makes you laugh, so you'll give a yes. She will make me 25 bags. And then what we weren't prepared for is all the kids who came up to other kids, patted them on the shoulder and said, you got a bag so you won't die this weekend. They understood you can die and be hungry. So Huntsville quickly brought in social workers, counselors to that school. We did 178 the next week, 383 the next week. We've been in that school for 14 years. This is starting our 15th year. And so other churches said, hey, I can cover this school in my area. And civic groups said I could cover this school. And so all over Madison County are schools that are covered every week with a weekend backpack bag. Now, we didn't know, see, we were so new, you're supposed to secretly drop it in the in the backpack to go home. We would learn that later, but we didn't know that. And then we had a young girl, Mary Melissa, come to us and she said, I want to help with bags. I was like, okay. She goes, yeah, my mom's got food stamps now. And she said, so I don't have to let that man do bad things to me down the street. And I went, whoa, wait, stop. And she was letting a neighbor sexually molest her so she and her cousin could eat. And so, of course, he'll spend his life in prison. Well, I think he's got 38 years, but whatever, in prison for that. And so she's now at Calhoun. She says, I'll never be hungry. She's going to be a social worker. And she brings me money every week to buy a bag for kids because she said, I don't want any other kid to have to do that. And that was a game changer for me. And I said, okay. So we doubled what we put in our bags. So we say our first graders limp on the way home, but we put a lot of food in that bag. So it's food for Friday, Saturday, Sunday. But it has snacks, it has extra things in it, so no kid goes hungry over the weekend. And it's a wonderful program that our community has truly embraced. And I'm very, very thankful for it. Last year, Miss Jane, the little tiny lady that's got the sunglasses on, her group packed 39,162 weekend backpack bags for Huntsville City Schools alone. It's $7.28 a bag, so you can do the math. It's my most expensive program. Is it worth it? It's worth it for a child to retain their innocence. Yes, it's worth it. So that's, I'm just sad that 3 children starved to death in my city. And I don't usually talk about it, but yeah, you asked, so there you got it. You got the story, but most people don't. But that's what they're packing right now, is the weekend backpack bags. And all those people, most of them are retired school teachers, and they fed kids out of their desk. They paid for lunches for kids. Huntsville has a really good program if you don't have money to eat, but most school systems do not. We have an incredible program. And of course, during COVID, everybody got free breakfast, free lunch, free snack. When that stopped, I've got families who can't afford to pay for lunch for their kids. So we're giving out stuff to pack lunches because, again, you still got to feed your kid. It's really a challenge. Honestly, we have free public education. We need to have free food. And we need to have community people who subsidize that. Businesses. You could have every company in town have a lunchroom tax. Everybody get charged a little bit. Everybody help feed the kids, but no kid should go hungry in my community. I'm driving off the Arsenal going, oh my gosh, that's right where they were. It's so unjust and unfair. So it had a huge impact on me. So I don't eat. I eat breakfast, and then I don't eat till I leave here so that I feel hunger. Because like a kid said to me, I said, would you like to eat this? Are you hungry? He goes, yeah. He said, I bet you've never been hungry. Well, he's talking about how big I am, right? And I said, you're right, I haven't. He said, you should try hunger. It's really horrible. I said, I'll try that. See, what he was trying to say is, you don't understand, lady. I don't want that cupcake. I want that salad because I'm really hungry. So it was a game changer. And then we had a little boy on the mobile kitchen about 5 or 6 years ago now. It was before COVID. And I was working there and said, hey, I got Little Debbie's left. I got some fruit. Would you like to have some extra cuties and some Little Debbie's? He goes, do you have any more salad? I thought, what 8 or 9 year old asked for salad? Because he's really hungry. So, of course, I start crying. So I go over there and they fix the salads for him and his mom. And I still gave them little Debbie's and stuff. And I said, we have the only mobile kitchen with no fry vat. It has a salad bar. And that's why we had it made, was just so we could keep the salad cold. So, and that's why we did the hydroponic garden, because we're making 3,000 salads a week. I can grow it cheaper, pennies on the dollar. My water bill for 6,700 heads of lettuce last month was $36.22. My seed is super cheap, so I can produce a lot of lettuce. And if you don't cut the roots off and you put it in your fridge with roots, it doesn't die for 4 to 6 weeks. 4 to 6 weeks. Most fridges, if it's at the right temp, it's 6 weeks. So you've got fresh lettuce, there's no waste. And so our goal was that we would tithe on 10%, and we bring 45% to Manna House, and 45% we'd sell. I thought it was a great business model, and the whole state had to be shut down March 13th, 2020 to get me to listen to God, because that was the day of our first 3 sales. And there was no restaurants open to sell to. We had already read it. I was like, okay, I guess I got ahead of you again. Let me back up. So we've never sold any lettuce. We just give it out. But it's pretty hilarious. We grow strawberries. Because one strawberry has more nutrition than a bowl of spinach. It has more iron, more vitamin C, more calcium. And a nutritionist, that's why you got to have community, said, don't grow them green beans, you're going to be growing strawberries. So we grow strawberries. And it's all indoors. So we grow 24/7, year-round. 72 degrees. You would have loved to do the interview there today. And it's chilly, but lettuce loves it and strawberries love it. And we grow off the grid at night. And so we're able to give kids strawberries. Now, have I ever eaten one? No, they're all going to the kids, but they smell delicious. So, but the kids love them. A kid will eat a strawberry when they wouldn't eat, a regular piece of fruit. Strawberries are like dessert to them. So they can have a couple of strawberries. We got the iron in them, the calcium, and we got vitamin C. So yeah, so that changed my life forever. I had no idea. So when I leave here, I'm very hungry. I know what hunger feels like a little bit. And of course, when we fast, I'm real hungry. But I tell my pastor, I do it for God. I should do it for myself. I'd lose a lot of weight, but I don't. But it's true. But it's funny. But yeah, that was probably the most significant emotional event I've ever experienced in my life. When you see the families line up, they stand in this crazy heat for an hour and a half to 2 hours to get the little bit that we have for them. It kills me every night. I get in the car and I go. I told my children not long ago, I love you, but I don't know that I love you like that to stand in line an hour and a half. It was pouring rain. Remember we had those showers? And we had severe weather come through. And I was like, come in the building. Please come in the building. No, I'll lose my place left. I don't care. Come in the building. Come in the building. Baby in arms, water around their feet, and lightning everywhere. And I was like, just get in the building. Get in the building. And we were trying to pack everybody in the building. And we were over the fire marshal count. We knew it, but I was like, it's more safe in here than out there. It's a metal building. And we had everybody in the building. And we just started getting boxes, but we didn't let them go out the door. And the lady said, I'm not afraid of a little bit of rain. I'm like, lady, this is not a little bit of rain. Waiting with water over their ankles back to their car with food. And I said, I love y'all a lot. I don't think I've ever loved you like that. Just trying to feed their kids. Working their job, coming here. And school supplies was the same way. It touched my heart. We'd lay it all out and I'd say, so get whatever you need. And they would say, oh, I've already got that. I just need this. I need this. Like, if I was in that state, I'd just grabbed it all. I really think I would have, They didn't do that because they knew there was others behind that needed it. And that's the compassion that I see in Huntsville, that when I've gone to, I went to a seminar recently and I took my daughter with us and I said, we live in such a unique city that people won't take 2 boxes of mac and cheese if they have some because somebody behind them might need it. That's a real different attitude than what you see other places. We do not experience the entitlement mentality of someone going through a tough time. And it doesn't matter where you come from, but there's something about Huntsville that we don't hide our poor. They live right next door to us. They live across the street from us. We see our poor. And I think that's healthy in a community because when you see the poor, you are more generous. And then the poor see the poor and they're more generous. And I wish it was that way everywhere. I think because I grew up here, I thought it was. But I'm finding out, oh, no. Let me talk to you about how reality the real world is. So. But that's a real attribute of our city. And I'm very thankful for that. And things aren't always just and fair. They're really not. But, the real reason I feed people, I was a young girl and I was wanting to get this badge at church. And you had an octagon shaped green emblem, but to get the G and the A and the star, you had to do certain things in missions. So my mom would drive me over here. We'd go down Seminole. It was a different housing complex that was there. It was light green, and they were really tiny. And my mom would take me there, and for 12 weeks, you had to teach a Bible story, do a craft, play a game, and serve refreshments. Well, my favorite thing was Kool-Aid, and I had 2 to 3 scoops in my gallon, And then I made peanut butter balls. Blesswood gave the recipe, and it would make a lot, so we did. So we did that for 12 weeks. And at the end of 12 weeks, I said, well, I won't be here next week because I'm going to get my G and my A and my star. And this little boy walked up to me and he said, please come back. I thought he loved my games. I thought he loved my crafts. I had no idea his story. So I just kept coming back. I did that all the way through high school. Did it in college. And when I got married, I had a group of ladies who took it over. We just kept it going, okay? It was great. I mean, I loved it. But I honestly thought it was my games and my crafts. I really did. This is how ignorant I was. But God will hold you back sometimes from seeing truth. So I graduate. We go out to California on jobs, work for Hewlett Packard, do all this stuff. We found out we're having twins. Oh, I got to get home near Mama. So we moved back here. My twins are 6 weeks old. I've just come from the doctor. We're on the way home, and I realized, oh man, I forgot to get a couple things. So I pull into this Lucky supermarket on Pulaski Pike, and I get the couple of things, and I've got the twins, and Sarah's not quite 2, and so I've got all these 3 kids under 2. I'm at the checkout, and I'm writing a check, and this tall dude standing right here beside me goes, are you Miss Fran? And I said, yes. He says his full name, and I said, oh my gosh, I wonder what goes. He goes, I go to church. He tells me where he goes to church. I teach Sunday school. He goes, and I'm never hungry, and I work at a grocery store. I said, that is awesome. I'm thinking, what a weird thing to say to me, right? And I said, we're awesome. He said, can I just tell you thank you? I said, okay. Thanks for feeding me. I said, oh, I never fed you. And I'm trying not to say his name. And he said, yeah, you did. And he brought me the 2 peanut butter balls and the Kool-Aid. He said, my mother was alcoholic. And he said, if I was really hungry, I ate one. If not, I put them in my pocket. Because there was no free breakfast, no free lunch. There was nothing. And he said, my granny would get me on Friday, and I'd have food Friday, Saturday, Sunday. But while I was at school Monday, my mama and her boyfriend would eat my food that my grandmother sent. He said, so your peanut butter balls is what fed me. I said, why didn't you tell me? I'd have brought you a sandwich. He goes, why do you think everybody came? I said, I am so stupid. I thought it was my stories and my games and my crafts. He goes, no, man, we were all hungry. And I said, well, you're going to pray with me at my car. Come on out. We put the babies in the car. And I said, if God will show me a way, I will feed this community. Well, years went by. I always gave to food drives and stuff like that, but there was nothing. And when we went out to Tanner to get that food for Judy, she was a single mom, and they sent her out there, I knew. I was like, this is it. I just thought it'd be on my porch. I never dreamed this. So every now and then I get the privilege of seeing him, and I go, I need to hug your neck. He goes, I can. I was like, yes. I said, if you had not said anything to me, if I had not forgotten to get stuff, which that's the Lord, and you had not had a trajectory to intersect with my path, I would have never known you were hungry. And I would have never realized that. I said, I'm so glad God finally opened my eyes to truth. And I understood. And he said, well, there's a lot of kids in this town that love peanut butter balls and Kool-Aid because it was all they was getting. I said, well, we're changing that. And so that's the real reason. So when we make peanut butter balls, and that's what I have on my birthday. I don't want no cake. Don't give me no gifts. Just make peanut butter. And then we share them. That's what our family's always done. And we don't make Kool-Aid. I do like Kool-Aid. My grandkids and my daughters will not let them have Kool-Aid, but I like Kool-Aid. But that was the game changer, because he had to say to me out loud through another person, hey, it's really not about the stories or the crafts. You can have all this great stuff, but really it's about giving hope through food, because a child who's hungry can't learn. They don't feel loved, and when the community comes around them, they feel like somebody really does care. And he grew up knowing I cared. Now, he did say to me, y'all, he said, I really thought you were a lot older than me. I thought you had gray hair by now. I'm only 5 years older than him. But see, I was 10, and he was 10 or 11, and he was turning 5. And I seemed like a giant because I came hauling that jug. And I remember I went back to the car and said, Mama, they want me to keep coming back. I think they like my games. And she was like, okay. My mom was ignorant. She didn't know. She had no idea. So if you don't know, you don't know, So, yeah. But I think it's sweet how God gives you grace when you are ignorant and you just don't see it. But then when you see it, your heart just bursts to love on the community. And that's why people give to Manna House. Because God will just do a heart burst. And they're like, oh, let me do that for you. So, yeah.
So this gentleman, is he a volunteer? Is he involved in Manna House?
Now he does stuff in his church, and they do a lot with us.
Okay.
But I think I'm the reason he doesn't come to Manna House, because every time he comes, I give this family. I think it really embarrasses him. He's like, "Are you going to tell my story?" No, I'm not going to tell your story. I think I'm the problem here. But he does help a lot in the community, and he is incredible with kids. His church does sponsor, he's not the pastor, but his church does sponsor one of our schools for 250 kids.
Well, tell us, how can someone get involved in Manna House?
It's really easy. They just show up.
Okay.
You don't have to sign up. You just show up. So you drop by any Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, 1 to 6, or any Saturday, 10 to 1. Stay for whatever amount of time you want to stay, or as long as your kids or your knees or your back can endure, and then leave. Right now it's hot weather, so some people will be here 30 minutes, some people will stay an hour, just whatever fits your schedule.
Hello Huntsville is hosted by Cynthia Joyner. Cynthia Joyner and Jeff Morlock are the executive producers. This podcast is produced and directed by Keith Matthews and David Person. Jake Martin and Hans Guger provided remote and in-studio audio engineering and other technical support. Chad Bell is the production administrator. The podcast theme was written and produced by Kyle Wimbish and David Person. Spread the word about Hello Huntsville, the first podcast that makes Huntsville, Alabama, the star.